"Don't shoot." The scream came through the radio far too late. The shot had already shattered the silence of the Afghan mountains, and the insurgent's body dropped right beside the detonator that was seconds away from blowing up the American convoy. Everyone in the unit froze. No one expected the only person to notice the trap in the middle of a sandstorm would be a female sniper from Dallas named Emily Carter. She had been transferred to the Elite Ranger Unit only 2 months earlier, and most of the soldiers openly doubted she could survive real combat. The team commander, Captain Michael Reeves, didn't even want her on the mission near Kandahar, but the orders from the Pentagon were clear. That night, their assignment sounded simple: escort a convoy carrying medical supplies through an abandoned village. But the moment the convoy entered the canyon, the first vehicle exploded from a hidden mine, and Taliban fighters opened fire from the rooftops. Chaos erupted instantly. Bullets slammed into armored trucks. One driver was killed immediately, and 2 Marines were trapped in the middle of the road without cover. Emily was positioned on the roof of an old school nearly a kilometer away, and through her scope she saw what nobody else could: enemy fighters moving around the flank. She started firing with such terrifying speed and precision that the radio suddenly went silent in shock. 1 shot, 2nd shot, 3rd shot. Men were falling before they even realized where the bullets were coming from. But the real horror began when Emily noticed a small figure running toward the American vehicles wearing a suicide vest. Everyone on the radio was shouting at once. Dust blocked almost all visibility, and the child was only seconds away from reaching the convoy. The distance was nearly impossible. Emily held her breath and pulled the trigger. A massive explosion erupted far away from the convoy, sending a wave of dust across the road. When the smoke finally cleared, the American soldiers realized she had saved more than 20 lives with a single shot. After returning to Bagram Air Base, everyone expected Emily to be called a hero, but the opposite happened. Some soldiers looked at her like she had crossed a line nobody wanted to talk about. People whispered about the shot in the hallways, and Sergeant Ryan Walker openly said she had pulled the trigger too easily. Command called her in for questioning the very next morning. Inside a small room with no windows, officers from the CIA and military intelligence replayed drone footage over and over while asking the same question: how did you even spot the threat in that storm? But Emily stayed silent. She knew nobody would understand how badly her hands were shaking after that shot. Meanwhile, Captain Michael Reeves was lying in the medical ward with shrapnel near his heart when he learned command was considering suspending Emily for disobeying orders. Barely able to stand, he forced himself out of bed and personally attended the hearing. That was when an intelligence officer played the full drone footage from the operation. On the large screen, everyone finally saw what they had missed that night. Seconds before Emily fired, one of the insurgents had activated a second explosive beneath the bridge where the medics planned to evacuate the wounded. If she had missed by even a meter, everyone would have died, including the rescue team. The room became so silent that the only sound left was the hum of the air conditioner. Michael Reeves slowly stood up and said, "You are judging the woman who pulled us out of hell." After that moment, even the toughest officers never looked at her the same way again. A few days later, the story leaked into the American media, and Emily Carter's name became legendary among military snipers. But that same night, she sat alone on the roof of the base, gripping her rifle with trembling hands, because she still could not forget the terrified eyes of that child she saw through the scope just seconds before she pulled the trigger.